Hello, folks. Hope you all are doing well. Sorry I'm a minute late, or at least I am on my clock. I don't know about yours. All right. Welcome to Magical Coffee Hour. I am Drake, for those who this may be your first time making it or first time to the channel. Hope you all have had a great week. I know I have. It's been a lot of fun here. For those who are keeping an eye on our locals community, I want to remind everybody the locals community is set up. It's there. If you are interested in supporting our channel, I've had a lot of people ask me where to support us. It's over at locals. You can find the locals channel. Just go to workingdragonmystic.com. You'll see the Working Dragon Mystic layer tab. Click that. It'll send you over there. Or below any of the newer videos, you should see a locals link as well there. So we're easy to find if you just check the descriptions or that. You can sign up for free as a member. We have plenty of content just for members over there that drops. But of course, we do have lots of supporter-only content over there as well if you wish to support the channel. And we definitely are always grateful for your support. Okay. With that said, while you're at it, if you haven't checked out our online school, you can find that at workingdragonmystic.com as well. So let's see what we got here. Immortal, good to see you. Jack-o'-lantern, good to see you as well. Skilled, hey man. Violet Star, welcome. And Haliel, is that right? I'm sorry if I messed that up. I think it's Haliel. Welcome. If that is right, I like that name. Fair warning, I do occasionally have trouble with internet names. So if I butcher your name, I do apologize. I'm doing the best I can here. Let's see. Way of the Dragon. Good evening, Way of the Dragon. Let's see. Darkness Divine. How to remove negative entity attachments. Got confirmation from my guides. I had one having major issues. Okay, so here's the thing. If you have a negative entity attachment, you can do a lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram if you know it. We do have a video on a draconic version if you don't want the traditional version. And you can also do the Dragon's Flame ritual. Both will rid you of a negative entity attachment. That being said, I'll be honest, I've had a lot of people come to me and say my guides or this or this or this told me I had a negative entity attachment. And it wasn't. It really wasn't. Because negative entity attachments are extremely easy to get rid of, whether it be with cleansing or basic rituals, in truth. And be honest, 98% of the time, if you need to know how to get rid of it, there's something else going wrong in your practice that you're misinterpreting something. And it's not all cases, but that is the case. So if you are trying to get rid of it and you're sure you got it, the Dragon's Flame ritual, which is findable on this channel, will knock it out, no issues. Now, that being said, negative entity attachment. Let's talk about this for a second since it got brought up. We use negative entity like good, bad, good, evil, right? It doesn't work that way. Entities are entities, people. This isn't a video game. It isn't a fictional movie. Most of the time, what is, even by mediums or whatnot, they will refer to as this, is actually a negative energetic build up of something of ourself. It's usually actually part of our shadow that we need to work on and heal. And you can't get rid of your shadow. You can't. So even the Dragon's Flame ritual, you can punch your shadow with that ritual all you want. It is still you. So long as you exist, it exists, period. And that requires shadow work. And more often than not, that's exactly what is needed in these instances, is you need to do the shadow work to get rid of it. Because it's more of a self-healing, some negativity that you're carrying in your life, whether it's stress, whether it's trauma, whether it's just some crappy shit that's happened to you throughout your life. The fresher it is, the easier it is to fix. The longer you've carried it and kind of ignored it, the harder it can be to fix. But in all honesty, that's the truth. So if it's actually a negative entity, that would actually be more of a thought form. Any cleansing ritual should get rid of those. So if you want to try the lesser banishing ritual, try that. If you want to use the Dragon's Flame Ritual, use that. And it will work even if you don't practice dragon magic. So, woohoo! Try either of those or a cleansing bath. You can do a cleansing bath, nice solid cleansing bath if you want to do that. If those don't work, I would look into shadow work. I really would, and figure out what it is that you need to work on you. Because even if you cleanse like the negative energy around you, if the root of it is part of you, it's just going to come back. Just like that bad memory that keeps creeping up in your head. You got to make peace with it because it's a part of you. So there's my 2 cents. Which actually that got me thinking. One of the things I'm actually wanting to do, and I thought of it a couple days ago, and I've even kind of stuck it in the thumbnail. I'm actually wanting to talk about magic lamps and how we can use those because, like, I use actual farmer's lantern around the house. I have it for many reasons. It's one of those great things. So I'm going to try and do some topics on those because I really love them. But they can actually help in some of those workings as well. We got questions popping up here. Let's see if I get them. We're moving fast tonight. Nothing wrong with that though. I'm glad y'all can make it. I have a question about wand. I know that you mentioned that you will eventually need a wand in Dragon Magic 102. I don't have the course yet, but if I want to make a dragon wand, can I make one? The ritual to make the wand, staff, or rod is in Dragon Magic 101. So if you have Dragon Magic 101, it's already there, and you can make it. The wand is useful for 102. It's required for 103, which is not out yet. But the ritual to make it is in Dragon Magic 101. But it requires the entire completion of the course before you can start making it. So if you haven't completed the entirety of 101, no. Let's see. Hey, yay, yell. Hey, yay. Hey, yay, yell. Hey, yay, yell. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'll do my best. Thank you for giving me the pronunciations of it. Always. I have a twang. I don't know if anyone here has noticed I got a southern twang, and it gets in the way sometimes, but I do still like trying to get things right. Let's see. Astaroth confirmed due to limited belief system said to change my mindset. Okay, change your mindset sounds more of an internal issue. And just because an entity says it, I'm not going to believe it. See, here's the thing. First off, we can't prove entities exist. I've said that on this channel before. So saying a god tells you something and saying you can name any deity out there, even deities I love and adore and work with. We have no way to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that these things actually exist and are anything more than placebo effect. The best we can do is say that this operation is achieving a data result. That's why I like the scientific data presentation. So, again, I have to fall back to the data. So you can name drop any entity you want. It doesn't change my answer. Not trying to be sarcastic or an ass on that. It's just, yes, that was what you received in your ritual or meditation work. Fine and dandy. That still won't change my answer in how to handle it. And even by your secondary follow-up that it's a mindset change, that means there's something you need to work on to fix it. That's not an entity attachment. And we can mishear, even if the entities are real, we can very well mishear them. So that's something to consider. Always be willing to be wrong. Message retracted. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Great question. Was it the can he make it? Oh, never mind. Yeah, I answered it. I already answered that one. I thought I did anyway. Rainbow, good to see you. Mugs up to you too, Rainbow. Good to see you. Got me a nice cup of coffee here. I don't have Dragon Magic 101 or 102. Should I just have it prepared and then when I finish Dragon Magic 101? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would wait. I would absolutely wait because there's a lot of time, effort, and energy that goes into this. You do not want some overly delicate wand. There's a lot more to it than a standard issue wand that you see in most practices. So I would actually, if you're wanting a true Dragon Magic tool, I would actually just put the whole thing off until you get into 101, start practicing, start doing the work, and actually have the time to work with the dragons and understand the differentials. Otherwise, I would just put it off entirely. But that makes sense. I mean, if you want to do otherwise, you can. Because worst case scenario, you find out that one's not going to work, and you're going to have to start over anyway. So if you just like making wands, nothing says you can't do that. But from a time resource management point of view and functionality point of view, that's my answer. Hope that helps. Let's see. I don't think there is a correctly way to say the name. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. We do our best. Let's see. Grixton. Something I've been doing to change my mindset is taking cold showers in pitch black darkness. You can do it. Great for shadow work too. Fear and having fear what is needed. Why? I've actually heard of that technique and I've actually experimented with that myself a little. And it does have a few perks to it, though it also has major safety concerns. Because I've also heard of a lot of people slipping, falling, banging their head open, and getting extremely injured or in a pine box. So if you were to try said situation, even though I've tried it, do be careful. That's for sure. Another way that I have found that I actually prefer to the pitch blackness, I actually found I got better results. I'd actually take and put two candles on the sink, so it kind of roughly lights the bathroom with candlelight. Still cold shower, still not safe because it's low light, hard to see, but showering is not safe. If you think about it, you can slip and fall any day of the week. But I do agree that is a pretty good method. Vitki, good to see you. And I like cold showers in general. So there's always that. Oh, whoa, we popped up here. Hey, Pop Smoking, great to see you, man. Hey, Drake, hope you're doing well. Crazy life changes over here. Miss you guys. Hey, Pop Smoking, we miss you too, mate. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for the super chat. Mugs up. Speaking of which, I'm going to include you in Monday spell work. And for anyone else who doesn't know, I forgot to mention this. We jumped into questions too quick. We do spell work every Monday for prosperity, well-being, health, happiness, protection, all those good little things. If you want to be included in that, anyone who does a super chat, $5 or more, with or without a question, you're included in it. And if you have a question and I'm missing it because this thing's jumping around so much, you can also do a super chat and that flashes it up on the screen fancy like. And then I hopefully can't miss it. If I miss it, then we got a problem. But thank you very much for the super chat there, Pipe Smoking. Hey, Heathen, if you're still here, I know you're busy, but if you haven't got over to Locals, get over there, mate. We got some fun stuff going over there. We've had some interesting conversations that even if you're not catching them live, I think you would be interested to catch them on replay. Let's see, Karma. Hey, Drake. I made it. You did, and we are so happy to see you. Yeah, it's always good to see Heathen back. His life got, it's like he popped in and joined us for a live a round table or two, and then his life got cray. We'll have to drag him by the beard back into a round table sometime. Let's see. Creator. I've been working with Lilith recently. Man, she's been really helpful and helping me release the knight in shining armor, the savior victim mindset in regards to love and money. Well, that's always good to hear. I love working with Lilith. She gets a bad rap. Even like, so first off, there's just the bad rap of her being this evil goddess kind of concept. But then there's also this like bad rap that she's this man hating, uber feminine only goddess. And she's really neither of those. And she's an absolutely amazing goddess. And I know a lot of magicians, male and female alike, who don't want to work with her because so many people try to push her to both these extremes. And if you're ever curious, I'd actually reach out to her and say hi. She's amazing to work with. Craxton Black, thank you for the super chat, mate. Can a human ascend to dragonhood, meaning that over many lives they'd accumulate enough energy to reincarnate as a dragon? Unfortunately and sadly, no, we cannot. Other entities are not allowed to become dragons for whatever reason. They're never overly clear on this other than tradition. It's their traditions. They don't allow that. And it actually, part of the reason, like, I'm trying to understand this. This is actually one of the areas I'm researching now. But one of the outside tradition, the better reason they've given is it upsets and disturbs the balance. And disturbing the balance goes against dragons entirely. So they're very much against it for that as well. Now, that being said, that does not mean humans can't ascend, and that does not mean that humans cannot achieve great power. But part of ascent is also being comfortable and happy with you in your whole. So if we're only trying to ascend so we're not us and we become something else, we're not happy with us. So that actually does automatically start preventing ascent too. One of those little buggery parts of ascent. But to my knowledge at this time, even after ascent, I have not, the dragons seem to be pretty dead set. There's not a way. If I find any new information or to the likes on that, I will let you know. But so far, they've been adamant. I am researching how it throws off the balance because that fascinates me. That concept that any entity achieving a transitional state to that would throw off the balance that badly, that I find fascinating. And I want to know more about that. But that's not really going to help me do anything other than sate my curiosity and research. Let's see, Radani. If the attachment you mentioned before is the shadow self, would shielding cannot shield you from yourself. Shielding will not. The shadow is you. You and your shadow are one and the same. You can't separate yourselves. You can't get rid of one without the other. You are the same. Okay. So you can't shield yourself from yourself. That's why shadow work is so important. And honestly, if you want to have a successful magical practice, you need to take care of the shadow self. And that doesn't mean get rid of it. That means actually do shadow work. Learn to understand it. Learn to embrace all those different facets of who you are, and get to the point where you're no longer hiding things from yourself. You're facing them head on and owning it in its entirety. That's what shadow work is. That's why a lot of people don't like it. They don't want to admit the things they're afraid of. They don't want to admit the things that terrify them. They don't want to admit the things they don't like about themselves. They don't want to face these things. And that's actually what does it. We bury it. We hide it from us. You've heard the concept of people who wear masks. It's the same thing. You're lying to yourself the same way you just put on a mask to other people. But shielding and other things, you can't hide from yourself. If that makes sense. The man hating thing is generally not true. The general answer is always dislikes jerks. Gender doesn't. No, that's absolutely correct, Angela. You're absolutely correct. Gender does not matter to her. She absolutely loves femininity for all of its strengths. She loves masculinity for all its strengths. And you are correct. There is a personality type that is common in men and women, and she hates it. You are absolutely correct about that. That is well said. Um, oh, we jumped. Crap. Uh, hey, we're jumping today. We're active in here today. Glad everybody's so hyper. I hope it sounds like everybody's having a great week. Sounds complicated. Not mess with the bounce, Dragon. Sorry about the bounce. My perception with working with entities are actually speaking to you and appearing, so I don't know how it's supposed to look like for others. With Michael. Uh, Angels don't appear the way most people think they do. I mean, even if you look at their historical references, they're not humans with wings. So don't get caught up on it how Michael or any other entity is supposed to appear, because non-physical entities are not bound to a form. They can appear how they choose. And if you look to myth, legend, and historical accuracy for angels, they look like a bunch of giant flaming balls of wings and eyeballs, and even some metal wrappings. They're really freaking creepy. Creepy cool though, but creepy. So I wouldn't get hung up on the appearance. Lose ego. Yes, ego's a big one. Go check the ego. That is definite. You're in your own bubble. Hug your shadow long. So long they become friends. That's sort of true. That is sort of true. A shield won't protect you from an attachment either. So if even if it was, let's go with like it is a genuine attachment, it's still inside your bubble. It's not going to help. Shields do not stop anything that's already inside the bubble. Um, let's see. Haliel. The balance of light and dark. I'll gladly be corrected if I'm wrong, but don't dragons hold a lot of power, and not all types of souls can handle the power dragons do? Well, dragons do hold a lot of power. I think that's a fair statement. But they, when the dragons use the term balance, they're talking on a much larger scale than the simplicity of light and dark, left and right. That's why the dragons recognize 9 elements, and even those elements are spread out across multitudes of areas. So the small picture is 9, but light and dark is only 2 of those 9, for example. And that dynamic multiversal balance is their job to try and maintain across the multiverse. So yes, it is a mind-boggling headache. Um, and there's days when it's like, why do I spend so much time trying to understand this? It's I truly believe it's actually impossible for humans, at least while still physical, to understand the multiversal balance that dragons are talking about. But I will say that the more we understand it, the more we study it, and the more we research it as a mage, we come to understand the dragons better. And that actually makes us better mages too, because we understand the working mechanisms that we mages are actually trying to work with. But it is fascinating. Um, so yeah, as to whether other souls could potentially reach that power level, or what power level sounds dorky as shit, reach that level, I don't know. I suspect they could potentially, and my reasoning for that is many of the pantheons are still growing. They're not like perfection; they're still learning and growing too. You even see this in a few pantheons. They're not shy about it. They don't try to hide it. You see it in the Norse pantheon for sure. So you see that they're still learning, they're still growing, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that once you reach ascension, easy mode's turned off. Now shit starts getting real, and you start doing work, you start growing more, you start learning more. The process continues. So many people want to hit ascent so they can be like, I'm so tired, I'm going it over. This is easy mode. Enjoy it while you got it. If this is too much for you, don't work to ascent. Um, So with that said, if they themselves can grow stronger and stronger and stronger, then and they themselves would say that us ascending can help us to reach their goals in time too, then if that equation just continues forward, grant you it could be unmeasurable yeah, God, what is wrong with me today? Number of years or centuries, but in theory, in speculative theory, it would theoretically possible to reach that level, but you still wouldn't be a dragon, if that makes sense. So I don't think you're wrong there at all. I think you are in the ballpark. I, but yeah, other entities, like there's entities that absolutely, even the Fey Queens themselves have said it would destroy a Fey to become a dragon. And I, that's a phrase and a statement that's just baffling. But at the same time, that's what they seem to keep putting out. Let's see. Yeah, me too. I wonder if someone tried in the past and it rippled out at the very last. It would make for a great story. It would make for an interesting story at the very least. You got that. Um, I'm intrigued about upsetting the balance part regarding trying to become a dragon. So fascinating. Fascinating, but also dangerous because you got to understand that multiversal balance is actually what holds the multiverse together. If the balance is ever actually destroyed or undone, the whole thing unravels, and that's it. There's no tomorrow. Um, Yeah, so see, we're all kind of on the same ballpark here. I mean, it's a fascinating area of topic, and it is fun to talk about when you get colleagues that aren't going to get all uppity and bitchy if you have a different viewpoint or a different theory. Because there's a lot of people like it's you agree with them on everything, or they just get downright bitchy and moody, and no one likes to talk to them. But it's one of those things that I do often try to avoid them on this channel because there are so many people who get bitchy. But at the same time, it's those things that I think as a community are fun to talk about. And I do view us as a community. And, that's why I say if you guys got questions, as long as they're family friendly, bring them to coffee hour. If they're not family friendly, bring them to locals. We'll talk about it over there. Um, but yeah, I think you guys are on track there. I think if I'm understanding what you guys are saying, I'm in agreement with you. Do. Let's see, Radani, I did the Dragon's Flame ritual extremely often in the last time it was yeah, it's a ritual that can get more intense as you do it. That is correct. Because the more familiar with it, the more focus you get with it, the more energy you get with it, it's going to have a continued growth effect. So the intensity should, if you're doing it right, the intensity should grow with you. And that doesn't require a guardian dragon. That's not one of the things. Now, it would actually progress faster if you had a guardian dragon and a co-magician, but that's not one of the roadblocks. Have I ever worked with Santa Morte? I have worked with her 3 or 4 times, 4 clients. And one time when she came, like it's one of those rare times where I definitely felt a calling. I went to speak to her. That being said, I don't work with her because she's very, 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 very uber possessive. It's like what's mine is mine, right? And I work with a lot of other entities that they're not willing to give me up to an absolute possession type relationship. And she actually runs counter, and I do mean directly counter, to a couple entities that I do work with. They do not see eye to eye because, in their viewpoint, that like true possessiveness that she puts on a person, they view it almost as spiritual enslavement. Whether it is or not, I ain't getting into that debate because I don't you know, different entities have opinions, and I know she don't view it as that, and I get that. It's that like it's one loving family. Well, the mafia is a family too, but you ain't getting out of that. So I'm not passing judgments, but I will not work with her and give up those entities. And that is actually one of the things she said. If you work with me, you are no longer allowed to work with these. And I said, no dice, straight up. So the only time I do speak with her has been for clients. And in truth, in the last 7-ish years, I've actually refused to even do client work with her. But that's me. I know a lot of people who do work with her. One of my older students actually went down that line and started working with her. Last time I heard, that student was not doing so well. I don't know how they turned out, but hopefully, I personally hope they're doing wonderful. I hope their luck flipped around and everything's going just peachy keen for them. But that's why you won't hear me talk much about her. I've had a few encounters, I've done my research, but it's not an entity I work with on a regular. So outside more literary readings and talking with other individuals, I don't have any firsthand experience, or I should say enough firsthand experience to actually say one way or the other. I can say I was left with a bad taste in my mouth with the way everything went down. But, there's a lot of really good people in the world that I just don't like them. They're great people. They just got that personality trait that whatever, it annoys the shit out of you. We all got somebody like that in our life. And anytime I run into an entity like that, unless we grow into full-blown screaming matches, that's usually what it is. I just view it as a difference of personality. So I got nothing personally against her, but at the same time, I don't work with her. I hope that makes sense. And if I offended anybody, I'm not sorry. I said what I said. And I say I'm not sorry because I'll be honest, people. I've been like, if I offend you, I'm sorry. I'm so fucking tired of having to worry if we offended somebody. I'm tired of the eggshells on the floor. Fuck it. Wake up every day and go try to offend somebody. Seriously. Let's get a good thick Generation X skin going for the world, right? Just get up and go fucking offend somebody. Try to get one every day. Sorry, I'm in a mood. We jumped. Look at this. Makes you look as who are wanting to be dragons feel better. You can shapeshift into dragon after ascent. Lose your physical body, but you can't be a dragon in essence. That's a true statement. You shouldn't. Yeah, no, don't go around parading saying you're a true dragon. That would be bad. That would be bad, Vicky. Good point. Good point. I didn't think to point that out. Good point. We need to be able to agree to disagree sometimes and still be friends. We do. We really do. I honestly, I disagree with a lot of my friends on a lot of things often, but we also fully listen to each other. And at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons I love a statement you all keep hearing on this channel is, does your practice work for you? Are you getting the results you want? Yes or no? If you check yes, fuck what I say. Go on, keep doing what you're doing, right? If you check no, step back, reconsider. If someone's giving advice, even if you think you might disagree with it, perhaps try it. There's a lot of people who don't like coffee, and then they start drinking coffee. They try coffee, and they're like, you know what? They're onto something. That's pretty good. Same thing with water. Same thing. We try things. We get out of our comfort zone. It's a good thing. But if it doesn't work, let's say what you're doing doesn't work, and then try something else. Find what works. Okay. The balance is like the weird statue in the middle of a circle room in all movies that you don't touch. Well, yeah, it sort of kind of is when you think about it. But do remember, it's a dynamic balance. So it's like infinite amount of rubber bands that are stretched out from the center, and they're all just kind of constantly springing and doing this. And the dragons are trying to juggle this massive just rubber bandiness and keep that in balance, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, it does kind of, yeah, I get the statue reference. You figure they'd stop using that same room and statue, right? Spider. I've not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, so I don't actually get the reference. My apologies. Let's see. Factory reset. How far back on a soul level does it factory reset? I'm joking. Oh, that's it. I love it though. I really do. I really do. Can you factory reset a soul? I don't think you can, but that's really cool. Oh man. Whoa. So that's very interesting regarding Santa Marta. Yeah, like I said, I love to research different entities, and you hear a lot about her these days. Um, so naturally, I'm going to be inclined to do some research. It just that's not an entity that panned out, and it's one of those where I don't have any good experiences to directly reference, and it's one of those where I try not to bring up the negatives, right? Because there are people who have positive experiences. And just because all my experiences were not ones that I would wish upon anyone else, but I don't want to badmouth an entity just because I can't say in any way that it went uberly bad. Like me and Raw, okay, you've heard me say some shit about Raw, but me and Raw went further than that. Like, right, once I told her no dice, no deal, that was it. We're done. She was very pleasant about that. It's like, fine, you don't take my deal, that's fine. I respect that. So yeah. I push buttons by just existing in a room. My energy either mixes nicely with others or like out. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. My friends used to tell me God sent me to piss the world off. I don't know if it's true. I'm good at it. I really am good at it. I don't know. You know what? I would also say that all of us in our lives, we need somebody to push our buttons, to get us out of our comfort zone, to make us think. Because if every day of your life you're nice and cozy and everything's going right, you ain't growing. You ain't doing nothing. You ain't living. You got to get out of that comfort zone. So, Angela, keep on being that button pusher. Keep it up. Um, Drake, what are the elements of spirit, maelstrom, and chaos like? Okay, I'll touch on this quickly because we are doing a higher ruler series for supporters over at Locals, Jackie. Um, I'm trying to figure how would you summon these up? It takes me a whole stream to kind of touch on them. So, spirit is the point of entry in the multiverse for all etherical currents taking shape. Okay. So, as things are actually coming into the multiverse in a format that we would recognize them as something that is spirit in a lot of ways, it is tied to controlling the comings and goings of all etherical energy within the multiverse as we know things to be. Okay? Above spirit, above the energy that's coming to the multiverse or moving away from it in a shape, ideal concept, you get to Maelstrom. The Maelstrom is raw, unadulterated change for change. Nothing at all is ever allowed to remain stagnant. Nothing is allowed to remain unchanged. All things must change. The Maelstrom is literally that. It is raw, etherical change at its most primal element. Okay? This is why so many people get in trouble at this position. Most humans don't like change. That's not an option. Okay. You can't even stick your pinky toe into the maelstrom without expecting massive life changes, right? Or as Jade would say, a speck of glitter of the maelstrom will change your life for the next 10 years in ways you can't even fathom. So if you're comfortable, stay away from the maelstrom because you won't be comfortable. It will change. And in fact, what gets people in dangerous trouble here is if you resist the change, it actually starts hitting you harder. And I do know magicians who, during these conflicts, not only did they fall ill from fighting and resisting the changes that the maelstrom was bringing, to the point where they ended up passing away. They essentially done themselves into their own stubborn clinginess. Okay, that's the maelstrom in a nutshell. Then you move up to chaos. Now, everybody wants to call Loki a god of chaos. He's a god of mischief. He's a god of change, and he does like to make changes. He likes to get things moving. But we always think of chaos as just this uncontrolled, bouncing around, hyperactive. When dragons use the term chaos, let's be very specific here. Chaos is literally the very source point of multiversal etheric destruction and creation. And that stays in a perfect balance. For something to be created, something must be destroyed. There is always a constant balance of etherical energy within the multiverse. If something new is to be created within the multiverse, some other energy must be removed, or ether. So when we talk of chaos dragons, their entire shtick is destruction and creation. So if you ever work with a chaos dragon and you want them to manifest something, know and understand, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's not a debate, it's not an argument, it's not a discussion. There's no willing and dealing. If they create something, they destroy something. It's that simple. They will maintain that balance in massive, massive, massive ways. And it's at a level we as humans really don't think about. But I have seen it just, if you're not prepared and you dive in willy-nilly, it can wreck your life. It really can. And just like the maelstrom, the more you resist it, the more damage it'll do. But if a magician is prepared to work with these elements in truth, can abandon one's ego. Ego's bad here. And you can learn to ride those etheric waves of change and destruction and creation. Then the magician has the ability to start learning to truly shape the world around them in a way that they've always wanted, but may actually turn out and realize what they truly want. That's going to bring them the most growth, the most happiness, the most fulfillment, may lead them to a place they never imagined. That's the short one. Whoa. Okay, what was it? I saw something. What was that? Drake just gave me a side quest. Offend at least one person a day. I'll do my best. Thank you. I'm not even going to apologize for that. Screw that shit. No. Let's see. Creator, would be interesting to talk about the application of Magic Circle that completely cover an entire city. How would it affect the civilians? Well, you first off, let's understand that magic circles are containers. They're not protections in truth. Okay, there's not a magic circle out there that an entity, if it wants to, can't reach through. They're containers, so they would help contain energy, and it really wouldn't affect anything other than there would be more energy available. That would really be all it would do. The side effect would be that there's so many people in it. You got to understand, anytime you put entities or people in a circle, the energy generated, since there's not a singular magician controlling the energy in a singular point, you now have thousands, if not millions, of different energy currents turning into a slurry of a soup. A lot of magicians would say this is a very, 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 very bad idea, because it's that very slurry that actually creates toxic etheric environments in like public spaces and stuff at such a rate that you couldn't control it, and it could have an ill effect. At the same note, you have many a magician who says that that very environment would theoretically help strengthen human nature. I'm a little bit on the first side, not the second side, because yes, adverse situations do help evolution and help strengthen the humans. But at the same time, it has to be something that we as humans ourselves seem to be able to identify, and we can't necessarily identify that slurry. So it would be less productive. And in those cases, there are actually entities that actually do tend to be proactive against destroying such things like chaos dragons or dragons in general. Um, the dark elves in Norse mythology, they're very prone to tear down such constructs as well. Let's see. Hey, you want to do a blood donation? Do a blood donation. Make sure you find a legitimate facility. Like, but do. I can't donate blood. Due to my epilepsy, I'm on so many different things that let's be honest, I just can't do it. Megan, you'd have to try really hard. They mostly don't care. It's not exactly like human can offend a dragon to the point they intentionally go after. Yeah, for us humans, it's kind of hard. The biggest thing they'll do for us most of the time is give us a cold shoulder. Rainbow, what was your story with Raw? Yeah, it was the forced worship. He full on like threw a fit when I was not cool with that. And then he tried to get, let's say, forcefully press the matter. And I told him to take a sugar frosted fuck off a cliff because I ain't doing it. So yeah, I don't really deal with Ra. And a good chunk of the Egyptian pantheon. There are a few Egyptian deities I've worked with over the years, but by and large, I just steer clear of Egyptian magic because I don't do worship. And most, not all, but most of them seem dead set for that worship. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it keeps cutting in and out. I don't know if that's on my end or yours. Hopefully, it's not my end. But luckily, we have replay, so you should be able to catch it. Because if you need to go back and re-listen to it, let's see, creator. I think you were definitely made to trigger others for their growth, Drake. Keep triggering. That's sweet. Can I quote you on that next time I go visit my mom? No, actually, in truth, my mom, though she didn't like it when I sassed her, she has always encouraged me to be honest and open with what I think. So, largely who I am and how outspoken I am, I do owe to her. And she knows that I can like offend people and upset people. And she's always told me, she's like, don't apologize for it. She's like, it's better to be honest and them be offended or hurt their feelings than to lie to them. That was always her opinion. Even if it did embarrass her more than a few times. So, I'd say she's probably happy to know at least I have a skill that I can apply to the betterment of mankind, even if it's that one. Drake, would you please remind me how to define wards? The way I was taught, shields were etheric force fields for people, and wards were etheric force fields for places and objects and stuff. Um, at the simplest, most mundane of definitions, that would theoretically be correct. Here's the thing: a shield is essentially an etheric shield or bubble placed around a person. That is true. Um, and they quickly dissipate. You could shield a house in the same exact way, and it will quickly dissipate. That's why you can shield a house, but it's still not a ward. A ward is something that actually takes excessively more time than a shield to construct, and it's semi-permanent. It can absorb a lot more damage, and it has a physical component. So when you set a ward up at a house, it actually needs to have a physical component to it, an item that is imbued to be the physical anchor for the ward. And wards, in truth, a good true ward takes about a year to actually fully set up. And it continually takes maintenance thereafter. But because of the amount of energy you're putting into it, it can deal with random energy bumping into it. It can deal with attacks without you having to refresh it 2-3 times a day like you would a shield. So wards are slightly different in that manner. They require that physical anchor, and they require a lot more juice to create a semi-permanent barrier that, instead of resetting it every time or every day, it can take enough abuse to get through a week, 2 weeks, and just with a little bit of regular maintenance, still do its job. Does that make a little sense? I hope. Let's see. Way of the Dragon. Do you think cryptids like Bigfoot and Dogman are physical beings, or more in line with dragons and the Fae? With the Dogman. Okay, the problem with Dogman is the myth jumps across so many different areas, like skinwalkers and Rougarou and Loup-Garous and all these other things. So Dogman gets harder because the way people deal with it, I'm not even sure it's one cryptid. Okay, it's almost like one cryptid category. And when I say category, I mean like feline. Right? I say feline, there's thousands of fucking cats. From saber-toothed tigers to lions to lynxes to house cats, to cats with no freaking hair. So there's that. And so when you look at the Dogman, it's really hard to narrow it down, just because they've allowed for such a wide breadth of discussion to fall into that category that we're not going to be able to do much with it. It's too big of a category. Now, let's look at Bigfoot. Bigfoot, we have actually been putting a lot more scientific data and study to, and we're getting a lot of information. That information does heavily point to it being a physical creature. I do know there's a lot of people who think it might be interdimensional or whatnot. At this point in time, I know for a fact you mentioned dragons. Dragons cannot appear in physical flesh without destroying our planet. So it's not an entity interdimensional like a dragon. And I would actually, I'll be honest, I lean to it ain't interdimensional at all. I really do. There's plenty of large mammals on this planet that have gone undiscovered for a very long time, and we have discovered, right? We're still discovering new species all the time. So is it actually possible for some of these larger wilderness tracts and areas for a upright hominid to exist? Yeah, it is. It is actually very probable. And we have a lot of eyewitness accounts. We have some decent video. Some of it's bullshit video, but we got some decent video. And we do actually have compelling track evidence that actually shows like the mid-tarsal break in a foot. And there are actually, we're finding track. This ain't something you could easily duplicate. And we're finding this mid-tarsal break in tracks for people who don't even know what the fuck it is when they find the track. So we do have very compelling evidence for that on a physical scale. To other types of cryptids, I would lean physical first. Okay, that would be my say. I would say let's go physical first. Think physical unknown first. That would always be where I'd start. Even with Dogman, even though it crisscrosses over a lot of stuff, even Skinwalkers. And Skinwalkers getting their own crisscrossy weird lore. But I would always think physical first, even though I would agree some of these myths and legends, if they hold the abilities they are claimed to hold, there's probably something more paranormal than standardly physical about them. But I would always say start physical first and follow the evidence. Don't jump past the mundane with no evidence. And right now we have no evidence. We have theories and speculative ideals. Those aren't data points. Those aren't proof. So you got to avoid jumping there, right? And that's one of the big things. It's just like UFOs. Like everyone wants to say UFO is proof of aliens. No, even when the government admits there's UFOs, that's not proof of aliens. That's proof of an unidentified flying object. It's an object, it flies, we don't know what it is. That's not proof of anything, right? So we need the data points. And that's one reason when I talk about cryptids or anything, I'm always mention the data. There's way too many people who, unfortunately, are more likely to hurt our chances of learning the truth because they jump way over here with no data, no information. They're jumping on faith, they're jumping on spectacular, and they're leaving good data and research behind that doesn't even remotely line up with where they're at. And when we do that, we hurt the possibility of finding the truth, not help it. But you'll notice I said start in the physical, start with the data, right? Don't get so hard locked that you cut off the possibility, right? I've seen some compelling information for Bigfoot that raises the question. Can he perhaps cloak? Can he perhaps shift into a dimension or something? There's compelling evidence to lead to this theory, but it's still a theory. We have no proof. And compelling does not mean proof, okay? Compelling does not mean proof. So at least we have that compelling data for the theory. See what I mean? But I still say more of the data points to a physical being. That was a really long, nerdy way of answering your question, but I hope it worked. Let's see. Where were At least what we say is truly honest, fully clothing. That's true. That's true. Can I use an item to be a physical anchor for a more lasting ward/shield? I was considering using a anchor and then recharging and maintenance as needed. You can recharge and do the maintenance as needed, but like if you're wanting to use an item, like here's a glasses case. Regardless of what you're using, it needs to be durable. But whatever you're using, it's still going to take a year to build it. It's still going to take a full year to build it, and you do need a physical anchor. And you will still need the anchor when you do the maintenance, because think of like the anchor almost like the control command terminal, if you will. So you need the anchor also to do the maintenance. And you should only be, it's best to put one ward per anchor. You can't craft multiple wards at one time. So in theory, you could use one anchor for multiple wards, but you can only craft one ward at a time. Because if you don't, the energy gets too muddled and thinned and it doesn't provide any defense. Thank you very much. That makes much sense. In case, can you set up a ward around yourself, or do wards need to be stationary? They should be stationary. There are ways to do it. So one example is one of my jackets. I actually do put wards on it specifically. You all have seen that jacket. It's that custom leather coat I got. I do put wards specifically on it so that when I wear it, the ward is stationary on the jacket. Unfortunately, you can't put it on a living thing because we as human beings, our cells are constantly dying, shedding, and being remade, right? That physical element, ultimately, within inside a year or so, we're not the same person. All our cells have died. So you don't have a consistent physical thing on a living being for that reason. So you can't put it on a living being. but you could do a small personal ward on an object and wear the object, if that makes sense. I have no idea what my theme song would be. I know a lot of people have Back in Black and stuff like that on their phone for my ringtone. Some people have You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch as my ringtone also. My buddy Nitro has American Badass as my ringtone, which I'm not complaining about that. Johnny Cash songs are also often ringtones. So any of those, I guess, could potentially possibly be. I don't know. I've never thought about what my theme song would be. There's a question for you all here at the end of the chat before we get going. What would you all assign me as a theme song? What would you all assign me? Put it in the comments after the live stream. Think about it and put it in comments. And if I don't know the song, I'm going to go find it and listen to it. So do know, if I don't know it, I'm listening to it. I'm going to find out what you all think. I'd love to hear what you all think. All right, let's see. Yep, everybody's getting ready to head out. I am too. We passed an hour. Jade's with family, so she wasn't here to throw clocks at me. That's okay. Jade needs some time off. That woman works too hard. No 4-leaf clover. That's a good one. Let's see. Speaking of Bigfoot, crib, I heard a rumor from forestry that activity has ramped up in Lower Appalachia. Yeah, I've heard that too. Actually, I know a lot of people in Appalachia, and yes, activity all up and down the mountain range seems to have spiked. Not just Bigfoot, but other potential activity. I've even heard some people actually blame a Appalachian witch or voodoo priestess or something like that. Some people just say it's a part of the times. Those mountains are crazy. The old timers actually say the energy kind of comes and goes. You got your easy years, you got your crazy years. I've heard it my whole life. So any of them could be true. You never know. But yes, Mathis, I have absolutely heard that. Pretty cool. Are you in the Appalachia, Mathis? You don't have to give me an exact location. I grew up all up and down that Appalachian, so I love that area. Yeah, I'm going to put some thought into it. I may ask my wife what my damn theme song is. All right, everybody, you have a fantastic week. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep trying to improve. Try to be a little bit better today than we are tomorrow than we are today. That's right. Switch it, flip it around. All right, take care, and I will see you later. What's this? Hold on, what's this? Can a Chaos Dragon be your guardian? Technically, no, a Chaos Dragon cannot be your guardian because a guardian dragon's so young that it's actually never worked in the elements. It has studied all the elements from like a school perspective. Think guardian dragon is graduating high school, and its high school project is you, for example, or perhaps your its college project, if you want to put it that way. So a guardian, no. Now a co-magician will have worked and spent time after it's grown up and after it would have had to do a guardian stint, but it will have actually worked and ended up being in all of the different elements. But it has to leave those element jobs and become unaspected before it becomes a co-magician. So both the guardian and co-magician actually are not directly aspect with either element. They're none. They have the knowledge. The co-magician more than the guardian. The guardian has never even worked in those elements, if that makes sense. If not, I'll try to clarify it better next time. I just saw that right at the end before I hit the button. I'm so glad I did not hit the button. So hope that helps you, mate. Y'all have a fantastic